Hello, hope you're having a good day today. Today we are going to be solving radical equations. Our objective is, of course, to be able to solve radical equations. In order to do this, I've made a pretty handy flow chart here. So all you really have to do is follow that. And what actually determines a radical equation is if it is an equation that contains radicals with variables in the radicand. So an example would be 8 plus 5 times the square root of n minus 2 equals 23. So our first step is to get the square root by itself. So my first step to do that on this problem would be to subtract 8 on both sides. So I would have 5 times root n minus 2. 23 minus 8 gave me that 15. I have a times 5, so now I need to divide by 5 on both sides. So I have the square root of n minus 2 equals 3. Now, I do have the square root by itself, so I move on to my next step on my flow chart. I ask myself, is the square root equal to a negative number? And in this case, it's equal to a positive 3, so I would say no. So at that point, all you have to do is get the square root by itself. To undo a square root, you simply square both sides. My computer acted up a little bit right there. Those are supposed to be parentheses, just so you guys know. When we do that, we get n minus 2, because it removes the radical, and 3 times 3 is 9. All I have to do to finish this thing off is add 2 on both sides, so I get n equals 11. First thing I ask myself, do I have my square root by itself? And I do. Is it equal to a negative number? No, it is not, so I can actually solve this thing. So I go ahead, I say squared, squared. That leaves me with x equals 10 times 10 is 100. Let's look at the next problem here. I once again have my square root by itself. It is not equal to a negative number, so I say squared, squared. I get negative 3a on the left side, and 6 times 6 is 36. I divide both sides by negative 3, so I get a equals negative 12. Here, I have my radical by itself, but if you notice, it is equal to a negative number. This cannot happen. We are not allowed to have a square root equal to a negative. So when this happens, your answer is no solution. Here, I need to add 3 on both sides to get my radical by itself. So I have 4x plus 1, and then I get 9. My radical is by itself, and it is equal to a positive number, so I can solve this thing. So I need to square both sides. So I have 4x plus 1 equals 81. I'm going to subtract 1 on both sides, so I get 4x equals 80. Divide both sides by 4, I get x equals 20. Here, I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides first, so I get 2 times the square root of 4c equals 8. I'm going to divide both sides by 2, so I get the square root of 4c equals 4. I have my radical by itself. It does not equal a negative number, so I can keep going. So I'm going to square both sides. And I get 4c on the left side and 16 on the right side. Divide both sides by 4, I get c equals 4. This one, the square root that we care about is actually the left side, the one with the variable. So don't worry that we have a square root on the right side. We do have our square root by itself, so we need to square both sides. On the left side, I get 16 plus 12. And on the right side, people always get thrown off because they think, oh, we have a square root. I'm really confused now. And really all you're doing is squaring both things. So 8 times 8 is going to be 64. The square root of 6 times the square root of 6 is the square root of 36. So we can break that down just like we have the past couple days. So we have 64 there. The biggest perfect square that breaks down 36, 36 actually is a perfect square. So we have 6 there. And all we have to do now is do 64 times 6, which I'll give you a second to do that. And you should get 384. Now I'm just going to subtract 12 on both sides, so I get 16 equals 372. So all you have to do to finish this thing off is 372 divided by 6, and we get our final answer of 62. And we are all set for today. I will see you guys next time.